Let's get right into it. Number 10. Out-of-place activation. Your DNA is supposed to be a perfectly organized blueprint, telling different body parts what to do, but sometimes these instructions get mixed up in the weirdest ways possible. Scientists have found tumors with actual teeth growing inside them. Teeth, in places where teeth definitely shouldn't be. And these aren't just random calcium deposits. We're talking about actual tooth-like structures, complete with enamel and everything. It's like your body suddenly decided to follow the how to build teeth instructions in completely the wrong chapter of its instruction manual. Some of these tumors have been found with bits of hair, bone, and even primitive eye structures inside. It's like your DNA is trying to build a collection of spare parts in all the wrong places. Scientists call these teratomas, which literally means monster tumors in Greek. They're a terrifying glimpse of what happens when your genetic code goes haywire. The most unnerving part is that these misplaced instructions are sitting in everyone's DNA, just waiting for something to trigger them. Usually, your body knows to ignore those out-of-place instructions. But when things go wrong, you might end up with a biological nightmare. What flips these bizarre switches is still a major question for scientists. That's why they get so nervous when they think about the long-term effects of our environment or even gene editing. Because if we start messing with our DNA without fully understanding it, we might accidentally flip some of these weird switches, and nobody wants to wake up one morning with teeth growing in their kneecaps. Number 9. The virus that became your memory. Millions of years ago, one of our ancestors got infected by a virus. Usually, the body fights it off, and that's the end of the story. But this was no average virus. This one didn't just infect our ancestor, it became a permanent part of their DNA. And here's the kicker. Without this ancient virus, you wouldn't be able to remember anything. Scientists discovered that a gene called ARC, which is crucial for forming long-term memories, isn't actually our gene at all. It's the leftovers of a virus that got stuck in our DNA and never left. The ARC gene actually behaves a lot like a virus even today. When your brain cells need to form memories, they use this ancient viral code to package up little bubbles of genetic information and send them to other brain cells. It's basically using a viral infection technique to help you remember your mom's birthday. If you look at the protein made by the ARC gene under a microscope, it assembles itself into a shell that looks almost exactly like a virus capsule. Your brain cells are literally making tiny virus-like particles to store your memories. Scientists are nervous about this because it means one of our most important mental functions depends on ancient viral code we don't fully understand. And ARC isn't alone. About 8% of your DNA is made up of ancient viruses that infected our ancestors and became a part of us. You are, quite literally, part virus. Some scientists think that when these ancient viral genes glitch, they might be behind some brain diseases. It's like having a really old piece of software that sometimes crashes your entire system. So next time you recall a fond memory, just thank the ghost of a virus living in your DNA. Number 8. The ancestral tail blueprint. You're probably sitting there right now, completely unaware that your body has the instructions for building you a tail. Deep in your DNA, there's a set of genetic instructions that's basically an IKEA manual for growing one. During the first few weeks of human development, every single fetus actually starts growing a tail. It's like your body begins following this ancient blueprint before realizing, oh wait, we don't do that anymore, and usually hits delete. A special set of genes kicks in to stop its growth and make it disappear, but sometimes that delete key gets stuck. When this happens, babies are born with what doctors call a vestigial tail. These aren't just little skin tags. They can have muscles, blood vessels, and even nerves. Some people have been born with tails up to 5 inches long, and in some documented cases, they can actually move them. What's truly unsettling is how easily this can be triggered. Scientists have found that they can reactivate tail growth in other mammals by messing with certain genes. By tweaking just a single gene in mouse embryos, researchers were able to make them grow tails much longer than usual. What's terrifying is the genes they tweaked also exist in humans. They're just sitting there, dormant, waiting for something to wake them up. Your body is carrying around a complete set of instructions for a feature we haven't needed for millions of years. And the tail blueprint isn't alone. Your DNA is packed with these ancient instructions, and scientists are nervous because we're just starting to realize how easy it might be to accidentally flip these genetic switches back on. Number 7. The hidden chimera within. Imagine you go in for a DNA test for a surprising reason, maybe to see if you're a match for an organ donation for your child. The results come back, and the lab calls you in a panic. They say there must be some mistake, because according to the test, you are not your child's mother, and a second test confirms it. This is not a hypothetical scenario. It's a real phenomenon called human chimerism. Some people are walking around with 2 completely different sets of DNA. This can happen when a woman is pregnant with twins, and one embryo dies very early on and is absorbed by the other. The surviving twin then has not only its own cells, but the cells of its vanished sibling. It's like your body is a living memorial to the twin you never knew you had. These people are called chimeras, and you would have absolutely no clue if you were one of them, just by looking. That's exactly what happened to a woman named Lydia Fairchild. When she applied for government assistance, routine DNA tests showed she wasn't the biological mother of her own children. The state accused her of fraud and threatened to take her kids away. It was only after a lawyer found a similar case in a medical journal that they tested more of her body. Turns out, the DNA in her skin and blood was different from the DNA in her reproductive organs. She was her own twin. We're only just beginning to understand what this means. Some scientists think chimerism might explain certain unexplained health issues or unusual immune system reactions. It's a hidden truth that challenges the very idea of a single genetic identity, proving you might be more than just yourself. Number 6. The accelerated human regions. For hundreds of millions of years, evolution played it safe with certain parts of the genetic code. Scientists found DNA segments that stayed almost exactly the same in everything from chickens to chimpanzees. But then, in just the last few million years, something changed. When our ancestors came along, these stable regions of DNA went completely haywire. Scientists call these 49 areas human accelerated regions, or HARs. Imagine a sacred family recipe that hasn't changed for 300 years. Then your weird cousin gets hold of it and instantly changes 18 ingredients. That's basically what our DNA did. These regions suddenly mutated at a speed that was way too fast to be random evolutionary drift. It's like something, or some intense evolutionary pressure, deliberately rewrote these parts of our code. And here's what makes scientists nervous. We only have a clue what a few of them do. HAR1 is involved in brain development, helping our brains grow so much larger and more complex than other primates. HAR2 helped give us our opposable thumbs, a crucial step that allowed for tool use. But the vast majority of the other HARs are a complete mystery. We are walking around with dozens of major genetic modifications that define us as human, and we have no idea what most of them are for or what they might do in the future. Some scientists speculate these regions might be what gives us our capacity for complex language, consciousness, or self-awareness. Others worry they could be ticking time bombs, containing the seeds of uniquely human diseases like Alzheimer's or schizophrenia. Whatever rewrote our genetic code back then may not be done with us yet. Number 5. Ghost in the machine code. Imagine finding a fully working smartphone in a pile of rocks from the Stone Age. That's the feeling scientists got when they discovered orphan genes. These are genes that seem to pop into existence out of thin air. They don't have a family tree. We can map the DNA of almost everything, from bacteria to badgers to bonobos, and trace the lineage of most genes back through millions of years of evolution. But orphan genes are complete strangers. They have no known relatives in any other species. It's as if someone snuck into nature's coding department and just dropped in a few extra lines of code. And these aren't useless bits of junk. These orphan genes are active, working, and doing important things to keep you alive. There's an orphan gene called Notch2NL that helps make our brains bigger than other primates, but scientists have no idea where it came from. It's like your brain got a critical software update from an unknown developer. Another one helps your muscles grow after exercise. Another is crucial for your immune system. If these genes could appear from nowhere once, they can do it again. Right now, your DNA might be experimenting, cooking up new genes that we know nothing about. Some scientists believe these de novo genes are a major engine of evolution, a way for life to invent new functions from scratch, but it's also a source of deep uncertainty. About 10% of your genes might be orphans. A tenth of the code that makes you human appeared from a place we can't trace, for reasons we don't understand. Number 4. Lamarck's ghost in your genes. Here's something that keeps geneticists up at night. Your great-grandparents' life experiences might be written into your DNA. For over 1 century, we believe that the experiences you have in your life die with you, but it turns out that might be completely wrong. Scientists have discovered something called epigenetics. Think of your DNA as a massive instruction manual. Epigenetics doesn't change the words in the manual, but it adds little sticky notes that say read this page loudly or skip this chapter. These chemical marks can turn genes on or off without altering the code itself. The scary part? These sticky notes can be passed down through generations. In one famous study, scientists taught mice to fear the smell of cherry blossoms by pairing the scent with a mild electric shock. They found that their children, and even their grandchildren, were terrified of the smell of cherry blossoms despite never having been shocked themselves. The fear was inherited. Scientists have found similar patterns in humans. Studies of people whose grandparents lived through the Dutch famine of 1944 found that they have different metabolic profiles. It's as if their DNA got a sticky note saying, food might be scarce, so store every calorie you can, predisposing them to certain health issues generations later. Other studies have found that the children of trauma survivors show different stress hormone profiles, suggesting the trauma of their parents left a mark on their genes. This means the hardships your ancestors faced, famine, war, stress, might have left a tangible shadow on your DNA. You are carrying a genetic diary of your family's history, and it makes scientists wonder, what marks are we leaving on our descendants' DNA right now with our modern lifestyles? Number 3. The chromosome shattering event. Imagine you have a 23-volume encyclopedia containing all the knowledge needed to build and run you. Now imagine someone takes one of those volumes, rips it into hundreds of pieces, throws them into the air, and then hastily tapes them back together in a mostly random order. That's basically what happens during a phenomenon called chromothripsis, or chromosome shattering, and it's happening inside people's bodies. Scientists first discovered this catastrophic event in 2011 while looking at cancer cells, and it helped explain how some cancers can suddenly become so aggressive. But then they found something even more shocking. Some perfectly healthy people are walking around with chromosomes that look like they went through a blender. Their DNA, the instruction manual for their entire body, literally shattered into pieces and was somehow put back together, and they survived. The scary part is that scientists still don't fully understand what causes this. It could be triggered by environmental stress, a mistake during cell division, or something else entirely. It's like a thief broke into your genetic house, rearranged all the furniture, and left without a trace. When these chromosomes reassemble, they don't always go back in the right order. This can create new fusion genes, or change how genes are regulated, sometimes leading to disease. But sometimes, astonishingly, the body just deals with it. Scientists estimate that this may have happened in as many as 1 in 50 people. Look around you. If you're in a crowded room, someone nearby might have a chromosome that's been shattered and reassembled. You could even be one of them and have no idea. Number 2. The immortal cell potential. In 1951, a woman named Henrietta Lacks went to the hospital for cancer treatment. Doctors took a sample of her tumor cells without her knowledge. Normally, human cells die after dividing a certain number of times. It's a natural built-in safety mechanism called the Hayflick limit, but Henrietta's cells were different. They just kept dividing and dividing. They never stopped. Those cells, known as HeLa cells, are still alive today, more than 70 years later. They are functionally immortal. They have been used in over 100,000 scientific papers, helping develop the polio vaccine, study AIDS, and understand cancer. Here's the part that makes scientists nervous. Your DNA has the exact same potential. Every person has the genetic switches that, if flipped in just the right or wrong way, could turn their cells into tiny, unstoppable, immortal, multiplying machines. When this immortality switch flips on by accident, we call it cancer. Cancer cells are basically your own cells that have forgotten how to die. They break past their expiration date and just keep going. All it takes is a few specific mutations in your DNA, the very code that built you, and your cells could start acting like a biological zombie apocalypse. These immortal cells are so aggressive that HeLa cells have become a famous problem in labs worldwide, contaminating and taking over other cell cultures. The potential for immortality is not a superpower from a comic book. It's a loaded gun, hidden in every cell of your body, and scientists are in a constant race to understand the triggers before it fires. Number 1. The genetic trade-offs. For years, we've thought of genes as good or bad. A good gene protects you from disease. A bad one causes it, but scientists are now realizing it's dangerously more complicated. Many genes are more like a monkey's paw. They give you a gift with one hand and a curse with the other. Scientists call this antagonistic pleiotropy, where one gene can have 2 opposite effects. For example, there's a gene mutation that provides powerful protection against getting HIV. About 1% of people with European ancestry carry this genetic jackpot, but here's the trade-off. That same mutation makes you more likely to get seriously ill or even die from the flu or West Nile virus. There's a gene variant common in Tibetan people that helps their bodies thrive in the thin air of the high Himalayas. It's a fantastic adaptation for high-altitude survival, but that same genetic trait is linked to a higher risk of certain neurological issues. Even sickle cell anemia works this way. Inheriting 2 copies of the gene causes a serious blood disorder, but inheriting just 1 copy doesn't cause the disease, and makes you highly resistant to malaria, a huge survival advantage in many parts of the world. Nature is constantly playing a twisted game of risk and reward with our DNA. This makes scientists profoundly nervous because it means there may be no such thing as a perfect gene. Every evolutionary advantage seems to come at a cost, a hidden vulnerability, and it's why the idea of fixing our DNA with genetic engineering is so terrifying. We might try to edit out a gene that causes heart disease, only to find out we've accidentally removed our protection against a new deadly virus. We're playing Jenga with our genetic code, and we have no idea which block is holding the whole thing up. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.